Hello and welcome back to chapter 28. In this chapter, the last chapter in this book, we're going to explain the globalization, opportunities and threats, multinational companies, the benefits and impacts, and exchange rates, exchange rate movements and their impact on business decisions. So this is the last chapter in this book. Hopefully you can now revise all the chapters and hopefully very soon we'll start also make some revisions with you. So regarding globalization, it's a concept that we use to describe the increase in the worldwide trade and movements of people and capital between countries. If you look at yourself now, you can find that you have a lot of products that you use and they come from all over the world. So this is globalization. Globalization when the goods and services are moving easily throughout this world, and of course not only goods, we're talking about people, we're talking about money. So now it's easy for us to invest in other countries, to buy goods from other countries, and this is what we call globalization. Why globalization is increasing? Because nowadays we have a lot of free trade agreements between countries. These countries, they agree to trade, so the imports and exports will be without barriers. And we know from chapter 26, the barriers on imports and exports are the import tariffs, the taxes that the governments usually put on the imports, and the import quotas, or the physical limitation on the amount of goods imported or exported. Also, the cheaper travel links and communication, and nowadays you know that it's easy for businesses to transport their goods. It's easy for us to move from one country to another. So online or e-commerce now allows us to place orders from anywhere in this world and receive the goods in a matter of days. Many countries nowadays are changing. They are industrializing. China used to be a country that relies mainly on the primary sector, which is of course agriculture, but now China is one of the biggest economies in the world. So China and of course many other countries, they are industrializing. That's why they produce and they export very large quantities of goods at competitive pricing. So here we have globalization and why globalization happens. Globalization has many opportunities and threats for businesses. So when I talk about opportunities and threats, of course globalization allows businesses to sell their exports to other countries. It allows us as a business to open factories and operations in other countries, especially if these countries, they have cheaper materials and labor costs. Of course, globalization allows me to import materials from any other countries, especially with countries that has less trade restrictions. You see, all these are opportunities. In this table here, you can see the impact on businesses from each opportunity and the but thing. The but is the however. So here, I can export goods to other countries. Yes, this will increase my sales. This will make me benefit from fast-growing markets. However, sometimes it's expensive to sell abroad. So remember this question. This might be a discussion question. If they ask you, do you think globalization has the opportunities and the threats? So now you can discuss, okay, opportunities are selling or opening factories in other countries. It's cheaper, but the quality is something that I have to consider, plus the ethical issues as well. Okay, with respect to the threats, globalization has its threats, of course. Increasing imports into the home market from foreign competitors. Other competitors will compete me now because they have maybe cheaper products and higher quality. Investments from multinationals will increase in the home country. This will also create competition. However, it has some advantages, and we'll study this. And of course, employees nowadays, because of globalization, they can just leave and work in any place in this world, so they have more choice. Remember, it's hard sometimes to keep employees when this is the situation. Okay, so as a result of globalization, it led to more choice to consumers, lower prices. So if you notice that now we can buy goods from any place in this country, in this world, so we have a better choice as consumers and we have lower prices. Businesses nowadays have to be efficient. If they are not efficient, they simply go out of the business and they stop trading. So this is about globalization, the reasons and the opportunities and threats. Okay, the point here is already covered in chapter 26. As I said, the government put taxes on imports like tariffs and quotas just for simple reasons. The first reason is always to protect the local businesses against foreign competitors. So these foreign competitors might produce their products more cheaply than I do. That's why the government wants to protect local businesses by putting tariffs and, of course, quotas on these imports. Multinational businesses. The multinational business is a common question in past papers. First, I should know the meaning, of course. It should be known because they might ask me in paper 1 what is meant by multinational businesses, and you have to understand something. Multinationals are called multinationals because they have their factories or production or service operations in more than one country. Remember something very important, it's not about selling in another country, it's about producing and having operations in more than one country. So why I decide as a business to become multinational, it's clear. Usually I want to benefit from low costs offered by other countries. So some countries, they have low cost and low wages, for example. I can be multinational because I want to benefit from raw materials available in other countries. I want to be multinational because I want to be near my markets. That's why many businesses, they operate in many regions in this world just to save money and reduce transport costs, to avoid barriers also, to expand in different markets, to spread risk. This is very important. Multinationals will spread risk. So if the sales are falling in one place, the business can move on in other places. Of course, all these are reasons why I become multinational. If the multinational operates in your country, we call your country a host country. So remember, multinationals, their country, main country is called home country. Our country that the multinational operate in is called host country. The important exam question here, I have to know what are the advantages of multinationals operating in a country. So the exam question will be, what are the advantages to country X of multinationals operating in it? So I have to know that they create jobs, and of course they reduce the level of unemployment. I have to know that they make new investments, they bring new technology and new ideas. I have to know that the exports of the country will increase, and this will strengthen the currency of the country. And of course, they pay a lot of taxes that will provide funds to the government, and the consumers will have more choices. So see, now I know all the advantages. However, on the other hand, multinationals operating in my country will only create jobs for those who have or who has low on skills. Why I'm saying this? Because usually the jobs created for skilled people are usually created in the home country, not in the host country. So remember this. Okay, the other disadvantage, the local firms might be forced out of businesses, and you know multinationals are very powerful, they have very low cost, so they will compete other businesses and force them out. And of course, the profit is sent back home, and this is a disadvantage. Multinationals, when they make profits, they send their profit back to their home country, of course. Multinationals will use the scarce resources of the country, will use all the resources, they will cause pollution sometimes in the host country. Multinationals, they have a very great impact on the governments, especially if the country is weak. So multinationals in Africa, for example, they are very powerful because governments there are somehow weak, or the economy is there is weak. So you see that multinationals have a great impact on the government and its decisions. Okay, so now I know multinationals, advantages and disadvantages. The last topic we need to know, and I'll tell you exactly what should you know here, exchange rates. First, you know, exchange rate is simply the price of a currency in terms of another. So when I say 1 euro, for example, equal $1.5, or 1 pound equal $1.5, I mean 1 pound can buy $1.5. If the pound is strengthened, I say the pound appreciates. So I'll give you an example. If we say 1 pound equal $1.5, and now 1 pound equal $2, that means the pound appreciates. This is what we call exchange rate appreciation. However, if the pound buys less dollars now, let's say $1, So we say that the pound currency depreciates, that it can buy less. So you ask me, what are the impacts on businesses? Of course, businesses are affected by these, but mainly exporting and importing businesses are affected. So to make it clear, think like this. If the currency of a country appreciates, then it's stronger now, right? So if it's stronger, it could buy more from other countries. So think about it like this. If your currency becomes strong, that means if you are an importing business, you import goods from other countries, here talking about the appreciation, if you import goods from other countries, you can import more. So now, if I have $100 and the dollar appreciates with respect to other countries, let's say in Japan, I can buy more from there. So as an importer, for me, it's good, right? However, for the exporter, it's the opposite. Why? Because if your currency appreciates, others will see your goods expensive. That's why there will be less demand. This is what I want you to understand. You have to know that an importing firm will have a higher cost if the exchange rate depreciates. If my currency depreciates, that means it becomes weaker. That means I have to spend more to buy from other countries, and this is a high cost. However, we'll have a lower cost if the currency appreciates, because my currency is stronger now. I can spend $100 but buy more goods in other countries because my currency is stronger. So it's like the opposite. This is what you really need to know about exchange rates and the impact on importers and exporters. All the questions in past papers, they have the same thing. So just know that appreciation and depreciation will have an impact on exporters and importers. So appreciation will make the import prices fall because I can buy now more, my currency is strong. However, the export prices may have to rise. On the depreciation, if the currency of X country depreciates, that means if you are an importer, your prices will rise. That means there is an increase in cost on you. However, as an exporter, you will face a high demand because others will see your goods cheaper, so you have more exports. So think about it like this, because the examiners want you to know what is the impact on exporters and importers of the change in exchange rate. Okay, so that's all for chapter 28, and that's all for all the explanations. I'm sorry I took time to explain all the chapters. Hopefully we'll start revising together and doing some papers. We're done with all the chapters in business studies. See you in revision and of course in past papers solved.